What's up everybody, Norbert BM here, bringing you another exciting little web development project. In today's project, we're going to create this little card here with a close button animation. Basically, when we're going to click on a show reports, we're going to get a report card. Now, when we hover over the card, the close button up in the top corner, top left corner that is, will appear, and when we hover over that button, we're going to change it into a close button. This kind of mimics those Mac widgets that you have on the right side of your screen, if you're using a Mac, of course. So if you click that button, there's going to close this, and if you want to open it up again, it's going to show you the widget. Also, it has a little animation when it's coming in. So as you can see, it's actually growing from 0. It's changing its width from 0 to 100%. Okay, so hope you're excited for this project. If you are, give this video a thumbs up, and let's get started with the project. All right, so I just created an empty folder. Let's start by creating a new file with it. Let's call it index.html, not YAML, HTML. My keyboard is far too close to me. HTML, there we go. Okay, shift 1 to get that exclamation mark boilerplate. If you want to give it a title, I'm just going to leave it as blank, but I'm going to open it out with right click live server, or you can just click down here, go live, and there we go. There's our project. Now I'm going to use Font Awesome for this, but we are going to come back to this just a bit later on. And you know what? Let me get started by creating in our body just a class of container. It's going to contain the entire code. You can also use here section if you wish. For some time now, I am switching to using sections instead of using divs for containers. I don't know why, but the container is kind of the section, or the section is kind of the container of a specific part of the code of the web page. So I love using sections. Okay, so let's continue on. We're going to create within here a button with a class of, let's say, show btn, because this is a button, and then dash show and dash report. And let's type in here the text of show report, of course, report. Okay, so you should see your button already. Now it does have margins and paddings, but we are going to take everything out when we're going to do our general reset. Oh, by the way, the entire code is down in the description below. If you want to just follow along then and check it later on, they could download it later on. If you want to just download the code and follow along with the code, and download it right now, pause the video, download the code, and just follow along with the video. Okay, let's continue. I'm going to create a div with a class of card. It's going to contain our card, and within here, I'm going to create another class of card and body, and I have to sneeze. No, it's gone. Okay, then we're going to create a aside. This is going to contain the icon. And you know what? Let's go to Font Awesome. Let's go to Font Awesome right now. So you're going to go to type in Google Font Awesome CDN, or just go to the cdnjs.com/library/font-awesome. You're also going to find the link down in the description below. And from here, you need to copy this little fellow right here. Either you copy the link tag, or you copy in the URL. I would suggest copying the link tag, then go up here before your title and just paste it in. This should look something like this. Now, you are now linked up with Font Awesome with a free account, and then you can go to Font Awesome and search for that little, I'm going to just click on the icon right here, and now you can search for, what did I type in? Time, and then it was that send clock. Wait a second, it's down, is here. Now, not all of them are free, so the very first one, I'm going to click on it. You'll see it is start using this icon free, but you just need to click on this code. Okay, so just copy this, then you can paste it in your aside. Boom, there we go. Now what, I'm going to close up the left side so we can see this. And that's basically it for Font Awesome. You can close it up. We're not going to use it anymore. And you should see now your little icon appearing on the left side of the screen. So moving on, after the aside tag, we're going to create a main tag. And this is going to contain, if you take a look in your finished project, we take a look in our finished project. Why don't I have any padding to this? Oh, geez, I have to add padding to this. So the container is far too small. You can see that the left side is this clock and the right side is the text. So we're just going to create an H3. We're going to have the text of weekly report, enter, and then we're going to have a paragraph tag, and just going to have a lorem 20, I believe I tapped in there. Hey, come on, lorem 20, and you should already see this. There we go. Okay. Now we're almost done. We just need our button, our closing buttons. We're going to step outside the main and outside the divs, also the card body. And actually, oh yes, it does matter. Just remain within the card body. We're going to create another button with a class of btn-close. And yeah, we're going to just have a lowercase x in there. And that's basically it. So there's our button. So that's pretty much it for HTML. We can now create a CSS file. So let's open up our Explorer here. If you hear strange noises, my little boy is just to the right of me. Hello. Say hello. You can't say hello because you're only 5 months old. Yes. Or can you? Can you code? Can you code, son? No? Well, he's smiling at me. Okay, so back to the code. What am I doing? Style.css. But can you code? Tell me. Hey, come on. Woo! Let's do here general reset. I love my son. My daughter is sleeping right now, so I can finally record a video. So margin 0, padding. And just take a look at the code to the right. Okay, save it, and you should see that I made a mistake. What did I do? I didn't link up. Go back to HTML and link. Whoops, wait just a second. That's much better. And link up your style.css, that is. And now it should take out all of the margins and paddings. Not only that, we're also going to set the box size to border box. And I'm also going to change the style, so the font family here to sans serif. Okay. Now let's take care of our body. Let's do some push-ups. Let's take off the body tag. And we're going to do here a background of #free. We're going to do a dark color for everything, and we're going to take care of the colors later on. Now next I'm going to take this button, the very first button that we have here, so btn show report, and target it in here as a class, so dot button show report. And I'm going to change the background to transparent. Then I'm going to add some padding to it. Oh, let's first of all change the color, so color #EEE, and then we're going to do a bit of a padding. Button is not that important, so 33 RAM and 55 RAM left and right. And Jesus, what do I do? Wait, oh, not .50. Okay, much better. Good, we have this. Now let's take care of a container. So container, we're going to give this a max width of 700 pixels, and I'm also going to give it a padding of, this is just going to be, wait, the content, no, I'm just going to give it a padding to left and right of 2, top and bottom 0, and left and right 2 RAM. So I'm not going to have the same problem that I have here. As you can see, the container is now completely to the left side and doesn't have any kind of margins or paddings, that is. So you can also close out the font awesome CDM. What am I doing? And let's move this here. Good. Next let's take care of our card. Let's also scroll up a bit. Now the card is here right after the button, so it's within the container. First I'm going to position the card relative, so position relative. Then I'm going to give it a width of 300 pixels. I'm just going to give this width for now because I'm going to change it later on at the end of the code, and then change it back using a bit of an animation. Okay, now for the background, I know you can't see it right here in our finished project, but it is actually almost transparent. So we're going to go first of all with a dark background, not the background color, but the background of a RGBA, and we're going to go with 0 for red, 0 for green, 0 for blue, and 0.7 for the opacity. We're going to see something like this. Okay, now, oh no, this was the old code. Wait, that's not the background color that I wanted. The background color will now be a linear gradient, linear and gradient, and we're going to go, first I'm going to turn it around, so I'm going to do a 0.25 turn, and whoops, then comma, and then a hash of E66465, and then a hash of 9198E and 5. This is it. Okay. Yes, those are your feet. Yes, son. Okay. Next, I'm going to give it a backdrop filter. Now, if you never use the backdrop and filter, It's actually a CSS property that lets you apply graphic effects such as blurring or color shifting and so forth and so on. Because it's actually applied to everything that is behind that element. So we're going to go with a blur of 6.3, and this would give it a glass effect. Now you can't see it because again I don't have anything behind it, but you can always see that there is a bit of a glass effect, and these should be pixels. What am I doing? Okay, now let's give it a box shadow. So box and shadow, and I'm going to go with 5 pixels, 4 pixels, and 10 pixels, and then a RGBA of 0, 0, 0, and 0.6 for the alpha. Okay, there we go. Let's also add a bit of a padding. I'm going to go with 1 rem all around padding, and then a margin top of 20 viewport heights. This is going to push it down. Sorry about that. Now let's take out the borders by giving it a border radius. I'm going to go with 5 pixels. You could obviously go with more if you wish so. Now let's do a width. As I said, again, a width of 0. It's going to make it look like that. No worries. And now we're going to display it as none and comment out both of them. Display none and width. We're going to comment them back in just in a couple of seconds. All right, now let's move on to the card content. So the class of card, did I call it content or body? Card body. So the card body, as you can see in our finished project, is basically trimmed into 2 parts. One is the left part, which has this little icon right here, this time, the send clock, and the right part where is the text, where the text is. So in order to do this, we're going to display it as grid. We're going to set the, just save also, grid template columns to 1FR, basically 1 fraction, and 3FR, 3 fractions. And if you don't know grid, I have an excellent CSS Grid and Flexbox tutorial on my channel, so please check them out. Okay, and next we're going to actually not justify, but align the items to the center. Okay, and that's going to push this little icon down here. Now let's take care of the icons. We're going to grab onto the FA dash. You can go back to your icon if you wish. It has the FA solid and then FA hourglass and start here. And you can basically target that class and play around with it. I'm just going to increase the font size. So font and size, we're going to go with 4 rem. Going to make it much larger. And then change the color to the color that we have on the right side. Actually, no. Let's go with the blue color. So hash 1 Gesundheit. 1C and 5. Bless you, son. 0. Whoa. Yeah, that's so funny, I know. Yes. Okay. Let's go. Let's see. Next we need to take care of our H1 and our paragraph tags. So because we have only one inner time code of each of them, I'm going to target them both here and just change the color to hash FFF, the white color. And then I'm going to add to both of them a margin bottom of 1 rem. 1 rem. Okay. Next, we need to take care of our little button here because it should be actually up here. In order to do this, first of all, let's target it btn and close. And because our body our card is position relative, we can now position this position. You can now position it absolute. And now that we have it positioned absolute, we should move it up here. So let's go top -10 because we want to be above the top pixels, that is. Then from the left side, we're also going to go with -10 pixels. Okay, now let's change its border radius. I'm going to change to 50 pixels. Change its width to 20 pixels. Its height also to 20 pixels. And let's also scroll up a bit. Change the border to a 1 pixel solid and silver. And now change the background color or the background to hash. And I'm going to go with the red color. So it's going to have C, F0, B0, and B. And there we go. Okay, now let's change the color of the text within it to white. So let's hash FFF. And then when we're hovering over it, so let's just do a cursor pointer. So if I go over the button, the cursor is going to change into that little hand. Okay, and also this we're going to display as none, obviously. Don't want to say it right now. Only when we are hovering over the card. So that means that I need to hover, take the btn, no, not the btn, need to take the card class, and when I'm hovering over the card class, then the btn class, this basically means that if this is included in this, so it's adjacent to it, it should take an effect. Now the effect will be that it's going to be displayed as initial. Okay, so as soon as I hover over the card, it should display my button. As soon as I hover out, the button is gone. Now because it's happening too quickly, I'm going to use here a transition with all. I'm going to take the 2 seconds and ease in, actually ease out. Should have a nice effect. Okay, now this effect will also take place when we're going to create our animation. But next up, I also want to add a class of active to this button. So btn close and dot active, meaning that if this button is active, like right now, but if I go over it, then it should get that class of active, and then it should have a border radius of only 5 pixels. And you won't see this take effect as long as we're not going to take care of this in JavaScript. Then the width should be 50 pixels. Basically, it's going to be much larger than 20 as its initial width up here. And also I'm going to give this a transform translate on the x-axis of 5 pixels. Okay, next let's take care of the card. So when the card, because this card initially is not showing. Also, let's take a look at our button. If you hover over it, it's going to change into this close button. And also going to change its dimension, its width. Now the show report button will actually show our card. This is also triggered using JavaScript, but it has, when the card has a class of show, then it's going to be displayed as block, and it's going to change its width to, actually no, I'm not going, yes, it's going to change its width to 300 pixels. As you can remember, we changed it up here. Where do you have it? We changed it up here to 0. So we can take this out later on. Or you can leave it in, because CSS means cascading style sheet. Everything is down here. It's going to replace what is up here. Okay. Now with 300, then we're going to do a animation next. And for the animation, first we need to create a keyframe. So let's add keyframe, and we're going to call this grow, and we're going to use here 0%, from a width of 0 and a opacity of 0, we're going to go to 100% to a width of 300 pixels and a opacity of 1. That's basically it for the CSS. We can now also add this name up here. The animation is going to take 0.3 seconds and it's going to be ease out. Okay, we're done with our CSS. Next up, let's move to JavaScript. So let's go ahead in our Explorer, create a main.js file. Let's include it first of all. Let's go down into our HTML, include here script source main.js, and let's go now to, I also want the console to have it. Right click on your window here and inspect it and have the console opened. Okay, first things first, let's clear this console. There's the console log here of whatever is in the console. Okay, this is linked up, it's working. Now I'm going to go over the console, create a const, and let's grab onto a btn show report button. So btn show report, we're going to call this the variable report, and we're going to assign to the document dot query selector, and we're going to select our class of, where do we have it? There we go, btn show report. Okay, let's paste it in here, and we can now console log it. Replace this first with the btn show report, and you should see your button selected up here or down here in the console. Okay, we need 2 more things. One of them will be, let's create another const, another variable with the const name report and card, and we're going to call this document dot query selector, and let's select the dot card class. And the last thing that we need is obviously that little button here. So let's create another variable const and btn, let's call this btn close, and we're going to assign it to the document query selector, and what do we call it? btn dash close button. Okay, so we have everything that we need. You can also check it, verify it, pasting it in here as a comma in the console log. So I don't know why I keep getting these. So let's do a refresh, and you should see all 3 of them. Excellent. Okay, first things first, let's make our card disappear. let's go back into our CSS and we're going to comment back in these two. So you, and this should make our card disappear. Now, our card should appear when we're clicking this button. But I'm not only going to, if you take a look at our finished project, not only that I could show it, but I could also hide it using the same button. You could do it only one way or both ways. Now, I'm going to use a event listener of btn show report dot add event listener, and we're going to add to the button a click event. If you stick around till the end, I'm going to change this to on clicks. You know what? I'm going to do it a short way. So on click, I'm going to assign this to a anonymous function, arrow function, and also because it's doing only one thing, we can just leave out the curly braces or curly brackets, and let's just get our report card, and it should now get its class list, and from its class list, it should now toggle the class of show. Oops, I just typed it outside of the quotations. Okay, so basically if I now click on this, it should add, if you take a look in our element selector or element explorer, the class of show is now added to the card. If I click this once again, you will see the class of show disappearing. Also, you can just do a add here, and you could remove it, or we will also remove it later on from this, but I would suggest to use toggle here. Okay, next up, let's take care of our close button. So btn close, and once again I'm going to add an event listener. This time I'm going to add a mouse on mouse enter event to it, assign to an arrow function. Now let's select the button. So btn, first of all, let's show this. Boom, there's a card. Now if we enter this button, if our mouse enters this button, then btn close.classList, once again, we can now add to it the class of active. Now we cannot use toggle, active, come on, active, there we go. I cannot use toggle because if I would use toggle, then it would just toggle itself on and off as soon as I'm moving the mouse in there. So that's not the way to do it. We're going to add it. Also, we are going to, now I'm doing curly brackets, we are going to do a second thing here. You're going to take that btn close.inner.html and we're going to change the text to close. Okay, so once again, open this up and I can actually close the console right now. As you can see, the text within here is going to change to close. Okay, now it's going to remain closed. The text is going to remain closed, and the button is going to be much larger because it now has the active class. So all we need to do now is remove it by changing the btn close event listener to on mouse and change the enter to leave. When the mouse leaves, we're going to remove the active class and we're going to change this back to an X. So let's try this out. And if I go in with the mouse, then it's going to be closed. And if I come out with the mouse, it's going to change back to that X. Okay, pretty simple, pretty nice. Next, what we need to do is activate this button in order to close up our card. Again, pretty simple. We're going to take our btn class dot on, use the on click event on it. And it's the same thing as we did up here. We're going to copy this and paste it in here, and that's it. If I now hover over this, hover over the card, hover over the button and click on it, it's going to be closed. Okay, pretty simple and pretty awesome project. Yes, it is an awesome project. Come on, give it a thumbs up, share it with others, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I post new content on a regular basis. Also, the entire code is down in the description below, which is on my blog and on my website, where you can find multiple projects like this and courses, complete web development courses. Please check them out if you want to support the channel, and it helps me a lot by making it possible to give you free content like this. So this being said, have a lovely day and catch you next time. Bye bye.